After being guilt-tripped into babysitting my nephews every weekend for a year, I finally asked for one Saturday off. My sister rolled her eyes and said, "You don't have a real life anyway." That night, I blocked her number. 2 months later, she was the one sitting in the air begging me for help and I pretended not to hear her. I'm 37 years old. Live in Joliet, Illinois. I'm single. No kids. I work overnight shifts as a floor manager at a distribution center. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills. I've got a little one-bedroom apartment, a cat named Rudy, and I like my quiet life. I don't party. I don't travel. I'm not exciting, but I've got peace. My younger sister Megan is 34. She's married to a guy named Joel, and they've got 2 boys. Mason is 6, Tyler is 3. Megan and I were never super close as adults, but we talked. I helped her move once. Went to her kids' birthdays. Typical sibling stuff. About a year ago, she texted me asking if I could watch the boys one Saturday night. She and Joel had a wedding to go to. I didn't have plans, so I said sure. That one Saturday turned into 2. Then 3. Then suddenly it wasn't a question anymore, it was just assumed. Every Saturday, like clockwork, I'd show up at their place by 5 p.m. They'd be halfway out the door already. Pizza's in the freezer, thanks again, and gone. At first, I didn't think much of it. I mean, I like my nephews. They're good kids. Wild and messy, yeah, but they're kids. It's not their fault. But after a few months, I started noticing some things. They never offered to pay me. Not even for gas. Never offered to swap weekends or give me a break. It became expected, like I owed it to them. I missed birthday dinners with coworkers. I missed dates. I missed sleep after long Friday night shifts. There was one weekend I had a fever and still dragged myself over because I didn't want to leave her hanging. Megan didn't even ask how I was feeling. Just said, "Don't let the boys stay up too late." I finally worked up the nerve to say something about it. I told her, "Hey, I've been babysitting every weekend for months. I love the kids, but I could really use a weekend off soon." She didn't even look up from her phone. She just rolled her eyes and said, "You don't have a real life anyway, Ray. What are you even doing on weekends?" That hit me harder than I expected. I don't know what I thought she'd say, maybe a thank you or at least an, "I get it." But no. Just that. Like I was pathetic. Like I didn't matter. That night, I went home, sat on my couch, stared at our text history, and blocked her number. No warning. No explanation. Just done. I didn't show up that Saturday. Or the one after. She tried calling a few times at first. I know because I saw the missed calls from an unknown number. I didn't answer. I felt guilty. Not for her, but for the boys. They didn't do anything wrong. But I wasn't their parent. I wasn't even being treated like a person anymore, just free labor. A month went by. Then 2. Then came the night at the ER. It was a cold Friday night. I was driving my elderly neighbor Roy to the ER after he fell on his porch. He banged up his shoulder pretty bad. I waited with him in the lobby while they got him a bed. I was sitting there, minding my own business, scrolling my phone, when I heard someone call my name. Ray? Oh my God. Ray. I looked up and there she was. Megan. Hair a mess. Eyes red. One arm cradling a crying toddler Tyler. His little face was beet red, and he was coughing so hard it made my chest hurt just listening to it. She ran toward me. "Ray, please can you take Mason? I need to talk to the doctor and Joel's out of town and I didn't know who else to call." She looked terrified. Shaky. Out of control. I stood up, slowly. My heart was pounding. Not because I was scared but because I felt something click inside me. Like everything I'd swallowed for the past year had finally come loose. She kept talking. Please, Ray. I know you're mad. I'm sorry, okay? I need help. He can't breathe right. They think it's croup. Please, I looked at her dead in the face. You said I don't have a real life, I said quietly. She blinked like she didn't hear me right. What? You said I don't have a real life. So maybe you should find someone who does. Ray, I'm not your sitter anymore. I stepped around her. She reached out and actually grabbed my sleeve. Ray, please. I'm begging you. I looked down at her hand. Then at Tyler, still coughing, miserable. I felt my jaw tighten. And I turned away. I walked out of that hospital with my hands in my pockets. My heart was racing. My head was spinning. But I kept walking. Into the cold night air. Past the parking lot lights. Into the silence. She called me that night, must have used another number. I let it ring. She left a voicemail. I didn't listen to it. I haven't unblocked her. Haven't seen the boys. That was 4 months ago. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far. But then I think about all those nights I gave up for her. The way she treated me like a tool she could pick up and put down. And I wonder if maybe this was the only way she'd ever learn. It's been 4 months since that night at the ER. 4 months of silence. At first, I thought she'd give up. That she'd get the message and move on. But Megan? She doesn't let go that easy. She started showing up in ways that made it clear this wasn't over. It started with the letters. Not emails. Actual letters. Handwritten. Left in my mailbox. Slid under my door. Tucked under my windshield wiper while I was at work. At first, they were full of apologies. I'm sorry, Ray. I didn't mean what I said. You're right. I took advantage of you. Then they turned. You've made your point. Now grow up. Are you really punishing your nephews because of me? And finally, the guilt bombs. Tyler still asks about you. He says you disappeared. Mason cries at night sometimes. He thinks you don't love him anymore. That one nearly broke me. I sat in my living room with that letter in my hands for over an hour, just staring at it. I wanted to drive over, hug them both, and explain that none of this was their fault. But I didn't. Because I knew if I showed up, even once, Megan would treat it like I'd come crawling back. And I couldn't let her win like that. Then came the last straw, the ambush at Mom's house. I don't go to family dinners often, but that Sunday I made an exception. Our mom's been sick on and off, and I didn't want to look back someday wishing I'd spent more time with her. She didn't tell me Megan would be there. I think that was on purpose. I walked into the kitchen, pie in hand, and there she was. Megan. Sitting at the table like nothing ever happened. She looked up at me with this tight little smile like she was being generous by not blowing up. Ray, she said, calm, fake. Glad you could join us. I almost turned around and walked out. But then Mom came in and hugged me, and I stayed. Dinner was a nightmare. Megan kept trying to draw me into conversation. Pretending nothing had happened. Asking me about work, about Rudy, about TV shows we used to watch. I answered in short sentences, stared at my plate. I could feel the tension like a weight pressing down on the whole table. Then she said it. Right in front of our mom. You know, Ray, I've been thinking. Maybe you like playing the victim. Maybe that's why you're alone all the time. My fork hit the plate with a loud clang. Mom looked up, startled. And something inside me cracked. You want to talk about victims? I said, low and cold. Try working overnight shifts and then giving up every weekend for a year to watch your kids because your husband vanishes when he hears a diaper rustle. Try being treated like a servant while you call it help. Try hearing your own sister say you don't have a real life like you're some damn loser. Megan opened her mouth. Save it, I snapped. I'm done listening. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and left. Didn't even touch the pie. Later that night, she called again. I let it ring. Then Joel called. I didn't even know he had my number. His voicemail? Short and sharp. You crossed a line tonight, Ray. My wife's not perfect, but you're a grown man acting like a brat. You better fix this. That was when I realized something big. Megan wasn't just embarrassed by me cutting her off. She was afraid of what people were starting to see. Because once I stopped being her backup plan, she had to actually deal with her life. And from what I was hearing through the grapevine, it wasn't going well. Joel had taken a job in Indianapolis and was only coming home on Sundays. Megan's hours got cut at the dental office. The boys were constantly sick from daycare. She didn't have time to breathe, let alone go out like she used to. Her house was a mess. Her friends were distant. And the people she used to look down on? They weren't lining up to help. One of her texts sent from a new number I hadn't blocked yet just said, I need you. I'm drowning. I didn't answer. But I didn't delete it either. That was 3 weeks ago. And tonight something happened. I came home from work and there was a knock on my door. Not a loud one. Soft. Repeated. I looked through the peephole. Mason. 6 years old. Jacket zipped up wrong. Holding a piece of paper in his hand, staring at the floor. I opened the door. He looked up at me, eyes big and wet. His nose red from the cold. Mom said not to come here, he whispered. But I wanted to. He handed me the paper. It was a drawing. Me and him and Tyler, sitting on a couch. Stick figures. But I knew who was who. I crouched down. Did your mom know you left the house? I asked. He shook his head. I felt my throat tighten. I missed you, he said. I looked behind him, down the dim hallway of the apartment complex. No sign of Megan. No car outside. Just this kid who had to walk 3 blocks in the cold because nobody else was listening to him. I let him inside. And that's when the next chapter started. I let Mason in and locked the door behind him. My heart was racing, not because I was scared but because I knew this wasn't going to be just one quiet night. I sat him down on the couch and grabbed a blanket. He clutched it around his small shoulders like he hadn't been warm in days. I made him some hot cocoa from a packet I had in the back of a drawer and sat next to him. Where's your mom, Mason? I asked softly. He didn't look up. She was sleeping, he mumbled. She's been sleeping a lot. I left a note. I told her I went to see Uncle Ray. I swallowed hard. What about Tyler? He was already at daycare. I stared at the floor for a second, trying to process what the hell I was supposed to do. A 6-year-old shows up on my doorstep in the cold because no one else is looking after him? I didn't know whether to cry or scream. I kept my voice steady. Why'd you come here, bud? He looked at me, eyes shining. Because you always come when you say you will. Mommy cries a lot now. She yells sometimes. She forgot my lunch twice last week. I don't think she knows. There it was. The part nobody says out loud. Megan wasn't just overwhelmed. She was slipping. And now the cracks were spreading to the kids. I sat there, stunned, not knowing what to say. Then Mason leaned his head against my arm. I don't want you to be mad at us anymore, he whispered. I put my hand on his back. I'm not mad at you, I said. Not even a little. I let him stay the night. I texted our mom and told her what happened. Told her not to tell Megan yet. She agreed. Said she'd stop by Megan's place in the morning, see how bad it really was. The next day, Mom called me in tears. She didn't even notice he was gone until noon, she said. That hit me like a punch to the stomach. I told her I'd keep Mason for the weekend. That night, I found a voicemail on my phone from Megan. She'd finally realized what happened. Ray, I know he came to you. I can't do this right now. I need help. Her voice broke. And not in that performative way she used when she was manipulating. It sounded real. Broken. Empty. Part of me wanted to ignore it. To push it away, like I'd been doing for months. But there was something else in her voice this time, something I hadn't heard before. Fear. That Monday, I picked up Tyler from daycare. I signed the form, smiled at the staff, loaded him into my back seat next to Mason. Neither of them asked why they weren't going home. They were just quiet. Comfortable. That night, I fed them dinner and put them to bed in the same apartment they hadn't seen in 4 months. I sat at my kitchen table with the light off, just thinking. I couldn't leave them with her. Not right now. But I also knew I couldn't take them forever. The next morning, Megan showed up. Not banging. Not yelling. She knocked, once. Then stood there, hugging herself. She looked like a ghost of who she used to be. Her hair was stringy, pulled back with no care. Her eyes were sunken. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. I opened the door, but didn't let her in. She looked past me, eyes scanning the room. Are they okay? She asked. They're asleep, I said. I made sure they ate. Brushed their teeth. You know, parent stuff. She flinched like I'd slapped her. I messed up, she said. I know I did. I crossed my arms. I'm not the person you lean on anymore, Megan. Not like before. She nodded, slowly. I know. But I need help. I need real help. I haven't told Joel yet. He's not coming back. He took a job out of state and he's not coming back. So that was it. She wasn't just spiraling, she was being left behind. I can't do it, she whispered. I thought I could. I really tried. But I can't be everything at once. And here it was the truth. The thing she never said before. She wasn't strong. She wasn't handling it. And the weight she dumped on me? She was drowning in it now. I didn't say anything. She looked down at the floor. I'm going to check into a clinic. Just a week. Maybe 2. Our doctor recommended it. But they won't let me go unless someone takes the boys. My chest tightened. She looked up at me, tears rolling down her cheeks. Ray, will you? I didn't answer her then. Just stared at her and shut the door quietly. Inside, I walked back to the bedroom. Mason was awake, looking at me with wide, worried eyes. Is Mommy okay? He asked. I think she will be, I said. He nodded. Turned over. Fell asleep again. I sat at the edge of the bed for a long time. The story wasn't over yet. But I had a feeling the next part was going to hurt worse than all the rest. I took the boys in. At first, I told myself it was just for the 2 weeks Megan needed for the clinic. Just long enough for her to get her head on straight and maybe finally act like a mother. I didn't want custody. I didn't want to play house. But the truth was, I couldn't let them go back to that apartment. Not yet. Maybe not ever. The clinic called me the day after Megan checked in. They said she was showing signs of extreme exhaustion and depression, along with anxiety and some kind of medication withdrawal, something she had apparently been taking without telling anyone. I was stunned. Not just because she'd kept that secret so long, but because, for once, she wasn't pretending to have it all together. I dropped the boys off at daycare that week and picked them up each night. We did homework, ate grilled cheese, watched old cartoons. Mason helped with dishes. Tyler stopped waking up crying. Slowly, they started acting like kids again, not like scared little shadows hiding from adult messes. On the 10th day, Megan called me from the clinic. I picked up. "Thank you," she said. No excuses. No attitude. Just those 2 words. She asked how the boys were. I told her the truth. They were better. Calmer. They laughed more. She cried so hard I could barely understand her. "They deserve more than me," she whispered. "I don't know if I can ever be enough." "Maybe not," I said. "But you're their mom. You don't get to disappear just because it got hard." There was a long pause. "You still hate me?" she asked. I leaned back against the wall and thought about it. "No," I said. "But I don't trust you either." She didn't argue. A week later, she was released. She came to pick up the boys, but I didn't let her take them right away. I told her to sit down, and we talked. No screaming, no guilt, no performance. Just truth. I laid it all out. Every weekend I gave up. Every time she rolled her eyes. Every time she treated me like a tool. I made her look me in the eyes and say what she did to me wasn't okay. She did. "I used you," she said. "And I don't know if I can ever fix that." "You can't," I said. "But you can stop doing it now." And that's when I handed her a folder. In it were the court papers. I'd talked to a lawyer. I wasn't playing games. I wasn't filing for custody, not yet. But I had every intention of doing so if she slipped again. Her hands shook as she read the documents. "You really did this?" she said, voice cracking. "I had to," I said. "For them." She looked like she wanted to scream. Or sob. Or both. But she didn't. She sat there in silence. "I'll sign anything you want," she said quietly. "Just, don't take them away forever." I stared at her, trying to remember the sister I used to know. I didn't see her anymore. Not clearly. She was buried under too many layers of denial and bad choices. "They'll stay with me a little longer," I said. "Until I know you're solid." She nodded, defeated. And that's how it went. Megan moved into a smaller apartment closer to town. She started going to therapy. She called the boys every night. Visited on weekends, my weekends now. I didn't babysit anymore. If she wanted time to herself, she paid a sitter. Or asked our mom. She never assumed I'd drop everything again. I saw the change slowly. Mason stopped flinching when someone raised their voice. Tyler stopped hiding behind my legs. Megan started looking people in the eye again. 6 months passed. Then one day, she came over and said the words I didn't expect: "I'm ready. If you'll let me try." I let her take them home. It wasn't easy. I watched that car drive away with a knot in my gut. But I knew they'd be okay. Because she knew now that if she failed again, she wouldn't get another shot. And I knew I could let go without guilt. The part that still twists in me? I don't think I'll ever fully forgive her. Not for using me. Not for the years she took without a second thought. But I also know I made mistakes too. I didn't speak up early enough. I let it happen. I let resentment build until I broke. And when I did break, I broke hard in the coldest way possible. That night in the ER, when she was on her knees with Tyler in her arms? Maybe I should have helped. Maybe I should have stepped up sooner. But I didn't. And I live with that. Megan and I talk now. It's not close. It's not warm. But it's honest. The boys come over sometimes. We eat pizza. We laugh. I take them to the park. Then I send them home. Because now, they have a home. And me? I finally have my life back. Maybe not a big one. Maybe not an exciting one. But it's mine. And nobody takes it for granted anymore. Not even me.